is Mark Bell from Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. And we are here in Davis, California, by the old railroad tracks. No, I'm not gonna off myself, so ain't gotta worry about that. Let's keep spinning this hat around, keep spinning it around, because we're back with another power project. We gotta celebrate, we gotta get into it, right? Anyway, we're talking about getting fired up, and that's why I'm fired up. We're talking about Zahir, the power lifter. I'd like to try to say his last name, but I can't. But the guy is so fired up that he talks about killing people in his videos. How crazy is that? Guy's talking about killing this guy and killing that guy and killing weights. I don't know what's going on. But what we're here to talk about today is it pointless to get fired up? Is there a reason to get fired up? Why are we getting so fired up? Well, let's examine this a little bit and let's break it down for you. First and foremost, the most important thing is that you don't feel like a jackass. Make sure that you're doing things that fit you well. Make sure you're doing things that fit your needs. Make sure you're not acting a fool up in here, just because of something that you saw my fat face do. By the way, my face is fat because because I'm trying to bench press 600 pounds. I've been sidetracked a little bit with a slightly torn pec, but I'm getting back on track. Don't worry about any of that. And I got a little extra fluff on. I see some of the comments. Oh, I would never want to be fat just to hit a big bench. Well, that's you and that's your training. Sometimes people say all kinds of different things. Oh, I'd never want to do this, never want to do that. Well, that's you and I'm me. So back to that. You know, don't get fired up for fired up's sake, because that's too artificial and that's probably not going to work. And if it does work, it's probably not going to last. Now let me explain myself here and tell you why I get fired up. I get fired up at Super Training Gym for several reasons. Reason number one, I like to perform in front of an audience. Any great player loves a crowd. And guess what? I like to have an audience. I like to have a crowd. I like the 180,000 plus subscribers to my YouTube. I like when there's 30 people in my gym cheering for me, watching me, focusing on me. I like when people like my videos. Sorry, I'm an attention whore, whatever you want to call it. I like to perform my greatest feats with the most amount of people watching. So I like to get fired up for that reason. Another reason why I like to get fired up. I like to get fired up to tell people around me, hey, you jackasses, I need 15 to 20 seconds here to give my ultimate focus, because my training is indicative of who I am and what I am. It's part of something that defines me. And you bet your ass I'm gonna give it everything that I have for that particular moment. I'm not just gonna sit on my hands and slump my way over to the bar and only be partially focused and hope that I rip up a new PR in a deadlift, or hope that I smash a new bench or a new big squat. So I like to crank up my music. And yes, I pick a certain song and all that. Now, some people may refute that with some science and say, hey, you can't control these conditions in a meet. You can't control this. You can't control that. You shouldn't be snorting crack cocaine before, well, sorry, you shouldn't be snorting smelling salts before your lift, and you shouldn't be taking in large consumptions of pre-workout and caffeine and coffee and whatever else. You know what? I don't want to say that I don't believe in science, because that is extremely foolish. Science is science, and sometimes it's pretty black and white. However, if I can bring it a little harder in my training, then I'm going to try to give myself every opportunity to lift the most amount of weight. And I do understand that there could be a point of diminished returns. Now, Here's where I'm going to refute everything that just about everyone says. Fitness in general is the biggest walking contradiction on the face of the freaking earth. Everything refutes everything else, and you can't really get anywhere without one study showing one thing and another study showing another thing, and another person pointing out that both studies sucked because they weren't done correctly. Also, the people that I have heard say, hey, you know what, pre-workout, and caffeine and Monster Energy drinks and stuff, they're not a great idea before you exercise because you want to just let things naturally happen. Hey, guess what? That would be great if the person telling me that wasn't on fucking steroids. That would be awesome. So that person's not in a natural state anyway. So who are they to speak on this? Now, to the natural guys who have told me the same thing, not to use pre-workout or not to get too fired up because it affects your central nervous system. Those guys are walking contradictions as well, because those guys who say that things should be in their normal natural state are also taking branched chain amino acids during the workout. It's not normal. It's not natural. It's not natural to hit yourself with 10, 20 grams of branched chain amino acids or even carbohydrates. None of these things are natural. These liquid forms that have been man-made, they're not. They're just not natural. So you're going to have to be more of a purist than that for me to buy into your bullshit, for me to buy into what you're saying. Now, I'm not saying that it's bullshit that you can wipe yourself out by getting overhyped in training, because my guys will tell you I have taken the smelling salts in the gym and hidden it before. Because if you're a 500-pound bencher, you shouldn't need smelling salts for 455. That's when things get to be a little crazy. Now, however, if you have some lifelong goals and you got some lifelong dreams and you're banking on hitting these PRs in your training and banking on hitting this weight in a contest, then I say, you know what, man, as long as it fits within your path and as long as you continue to make progress, if you find yourself not making any more progress, that's when we run into issues. That's when we have to examine many aspects of your training. Are the pre-workouts affecting your sleep? Are you taking a pre-workout at 7 p.m. or so before your training session? Training session ends at 9, you can't get to bed till 1 o'clock in the morning. That could be detrimental to your training. But you do what fits best with your needs. Don't worry about whether taking a pre-workout or something like that's gonna upset somebody else or whatever. Do what fits you best. If you feel like getting fired up before a big lift, if you want to let loose, if that's your moment, that's your time to let loose, then let loose. Get after it. Don't be afraid to be a little different than everybody else. Also, if you're not that type of person, if you like to be more low-key, then that's fine as well. You'll see some guys who are silent assassins. Silent assassins like Jesse Norris. Jesse Norris is so stoic when he walks up to the bar. Andrei Milanichev, some of the all-time greats. Ed Coen had an internal and controlled fire that you didn't really see come out a lot of times until after the lift. But again, each guy is different. And I like Ed Coen's approach because Ed Coen, watch Ed Coen's training. YouTube the guy. Ed Coen was the best. And sometimes the marker of the best sometimes isn't always the best guy to follow everything that he does. But in my opinion, Ed Coen did a lot of things right. Ed Coen put a lot into his training. His training was very calm for long periods of time. He only did 2 or 3 contests a year. And when those 2 or 3 contests would come around, all aspects of training would be elevated. All the intensity of training would be elevated. And when the amount of weights he hit went up, guess what? More spotters, more music, more focus, more concentration. And that's ultimately what we're discussing here right now. Does it help you to act like an absolute maniac and then miss press command on the bench? No, that wasn't useful. But does it help to talk yourself into, rather than talk yourself out of, making a lift? I had the pleasure of seeing Kevin Oak lift before he was Kevin Oak. I saw Kevin Oak lift as he was coming into his own. It was Raw Unity 7. I've never, ever seen another lifter, well, aside from Stan and Rhino Efforting. It is really rare to watch a lifter talk themselves into something that they're deeply unsure of. And I saw that from Kevin Oak with about a 750-pound pull on his last deadlift at Raw Unity 7. Maybe he wasn't lifting quite that much at that time, but the deadlift was actually not a great lift for Kevin at that time. And now he's moved on to 789 and maybe 800 or so in training. The guy's a beast. He's breaking all-time world records. But I saw him miss his second attempt deadlift. He talked to himself. I don't know what the guy said to himself. I wish I knew. Maybe we can find out. Maybe through this YouTube video. Maybe he will release this information. But Kevin Oak talked himself into that third attempt. He talked himself into making that third attempt. And he went out there and he gave it everything that he had. And he made the damn lift. I saw the same thing with Stan the Rhino Efforting, badly missing a 600-pound bench. That was a big piece of the puzzle in his 2303 all-time world record total. I believe it was that total. If not, I may be corrected by some of the footage. But it was for a all-time world record, whether it's in knee sleeves or not, or in wraps. I can't quite remember. Can't quite recall. But he badly and severely missed a 606 bench. After we've been going over for weeks and months about bringing the elbows in and tucking them in and how important it was, he just let his elbows flop out. And he kind of got crushed by the weight. And I was like, God, I hope he's able to come back and get that one.
Up, on the way. Press.
We talked about form. We talked about technique. We didn't mention one thing about strength. We talked about focus and concentration and trying to reach another level. I recall pacing back and forth when I won the Fit Expo in like 2009 or 2010, before it was even the Fit Expo. And I remember pacing back and forth, and I remember Jesse Burdick, my BFF, saying, find what you need to find and get the hell out there. He knew what I was doing. I was soul searching. Some of these terms that we use, they may not mean anything in science, but they mean something to the individual, and they're important. That was also when my brother died. So shit was on the line for me. I really wanted to go out there and give it my all, because as I mentioned earlier, I'm not just lifting weights because it's fun for me anymore. Lifting is fun for me, and it is a passion. It is something I love to do. Make no mistake about it. However, lifting weights is part of who I am. It's ingrained into my body. It's ingrained in the pores of this fat, disgusting face that you see. And it's part of everything else that I'm doing. It's part of every day of my life. It consumes me. It's part of me taking a shit. It's part of me going to sleep. It's part of me waking up. It's part of me eating. It's part of every single facet of my life, whether I'm podcasting or spitting out another power magazine or spitting out another power project or shooting another video inside a super training gym and giving you guys more free content. It's part of every single thing that I do. So when I step foot on that platform and I get another opportunity, I get a rematch with 600 pounds, I'm dying for that rematch. When I get that rematch, when I get that opportunity to bench press at 600 pounds, do you think I'm going to be quiet? Do you think the audience is going to be quiet to see me do my last lift? I certainly hope not. I hope it's loud as hell. I hope I'm loud as hell. I hope that I'm so fired up that I have tears coming out of my eyes. Because it means a lot to me to go and do this, and I'm going to try like hell to put my absolute best effort in. Now, lastly, it doesn't mean you're not putting your best effort in if you don't yell and scream. You gonna bark all day, little doggy, or are you gonna bite? Remember that from Reservoir Dogs. You kids out there that have not seen Reservoir Dogs, do me a favor and make sure that you see Reservoir Dogs. Amazing movie. You're gonna bark all day, little doggy, or are you gonna bite? was said from one guy to another, basically saying shut the hell up unless you want to actually do something about it, unless you actually want to fight. And you know, that it doesn't always matter that you yell and scream and act like an animal or act like an idiot. That's not the point of this message. The point of this message is to stay in your own lane. Find what works best for you. Find your comfort zone and stick to that. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. And that is it from Super Training Gym. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to Power Magazine. And make sure you buy some products from the best damn gear company in the world, Slingshot. Go to howmuchyoubench.net. I'm out.